1. This is the tale of two six-tops. I was working in the party section of the restaurant, all tables that fit from 6 to 8 people, and everything was awesome. I was working perfectly. It wasn't too slammed, so I had time with my tables, and I didn't miss a beat. Everyone was tipping over 20%, and I was having an awesome time. And then, in walks a party of 10. No biggie, right? We have 2 tables next to each other that they can share, and I would serve one table. My section buddy would take the other. Except when I get over there, the first thing I notice is they're mostly kids under the age of 10, except for 2 adults. At the time, I had a 6-top and a 4-top. My 4-top was already there, had gotten their food, and was doing fine. And the 6-top had gotten refills, and their food should be out any time now. So I decided to go greet my new table. I was splitting the 10 with another server. He was taking 4 of them, and I was taking 6. So when I get over there, before I can introduce myself, the mom at the table snaps at me. "I want to get an appetizer," telling me she wants a combo app. Okay, so I can immediately tell that you're that table. In the combo, you get 3 choices, and of course she didn't tell me what she wanted in it, so I had to ask. No big deal. Some first-timers at the place don't know how the menu works. Except for the fact that she changed her mind about what she wanted halfway through, making me scratch out what I had written. And then, when I get their drink orders, each kid is just shouting at me the drink they want, instead of going in order like I always make my tables do. I go around the tables, in seat order, because that helps me get drinks and food rang in correctly, thus resulting in an easier time for me and a better experience for the guest. It's not a big deal if I go out of order, but when there's 6 kids screaming drinks at me, I get overwhelmed, and this mom isn't doing anything to calm her kids down. She just lets them keep yelling and screaming and being overall annoying. When I came by to take their order, after I got their app rang in and dropped off the drinks, it took me literally 10 minutes to take their order because each person changed their mind at least once and wanted very weird modifications to their food. So I had to make a bunch of special notes. During this time, they kept jumping around in terms of who was ordering, rather than letting me go around the table by seat number, the table playing musical chairs and switching tables, telling me items that they want to order for the other table, despite having been told that the other half of the table has a different server and a different bill. Random kids from the other table changing their minds on where they want to sit, so now I have to take more orders, and my notepad now just looks like a mess of scribbles. During all this chaos, my other 6-top from before had gotten their food and was doing okay. Thank God they were so chill. So I used the point of sale to put in the order for Nightmare 6-top. During this time, a couple of the kids are running around behind me at the table. They keep bumping into the other guests and just being crazy. And then, surprise, I hear the dreaded sound of liquid and ice spilling behind me. I turn around and sure enough, the kids have knocked a drink over. Dr. Pepper is now cascading onto the floor. So while I'm pressing buttons, they start yelling for me across the room, telling me they need a new drink. Like, duh, you can't drink Dr. Pepper off the floor. I know you'll need a new one. Long story short, they basically ran me around all night and they turned a really chill, fun day into a stress-filled, agonizing, mentally exhausting experience. In the end, they left me $5 on a bill of $125. Totally not worth it for all the trouble. Moral of the story: if you ever have a server that wants to do things or take orders in a certain way, it's probably in your own interest to just let them lead the table. Also, don't take 10 minutes to order. If you need time, that's okay. Remember that you are not the server's only table, and that the longer you take, the less time the server can check on their other tables. By taking so long and being so indecisive, you are worsening the experience of other diners. And if you have kids, please control them. Servers are not babysitters. 2. I used to have this woman and her family come in. She would always get the snow crab legs and some other seafood stuff. She was a little particular and very polite, but her husband always tipped well, so I didn't mind. Well, one night she decides to order king crab legs. If you know anything about seafood, you would know that snow crab legs are pretty expensive on their own, and at my restaurant, king crab legs are about $65 per pound, which is a pretty good price for that type of crab. However, they are listed as MP on the menu. This lady is pretty much a seafood pro, so I assumed, silly me, that she would know what she was getting into. She orders 1 or 2 pounds of king crab legs, but I don't really remember. Anyway, she completely demolishes those crab legs, so I drop off the bill. I watch from a distance while her and her husband open the bill, assuming everything would be fine. But they were obviously confused about the bill. I go over to check if everything was all right, but they were very upset at me. I can tell that they were thinking that I was trying to scam them, but I would never do anything like that. It was also offensive that they would think I would purposefully deceive them, when we were already pretty familiar with one another. They were being pretty nasty and rude to me too, which was weird because they used to be so polite up until that moment. It felt pretty personal. I grabbed my manager, who I've known for a while and have a good rep with, and I let her handle it. She gives them some sort of discount and they leave. I don't remember if they left a tip that time or not. I've seen them a few times in the restaurant, but it was never my turn to serve them, which I was grateful for, because I was honestly hurt by the whole thing. But it was so weird each time they came in after that because they always insisted on sitting in my section at the exact same booth. My section is one of the smallest sections in the restaurant, so they were taking up real estate. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I ignored it. It's been a few months after that incident, so I feel like enough time had passed for us to be cool again. Ha! Apparently not. They came in right when it started to be busy. The table that they normally sit at was dirty, and they were standing around in my section, waiting for it to be cleaned. There were other open tables in my section, by the way. I already had my hands full with other tables, but I wanted to please them and send a positive signal, so I pushed some other stuff back in my mental queue and promptly cleaned their preferred table for them. After that, everything seems to be going fine, but like I said, we were busy, so food was taking a bit longer than usual. I didn't pick up any signals of irritation or any kind of upsettedness, but I did go over once to assure them that the food was coming. I was keeping a close eye on the kitchen, and I was able to deliver their meal right after it was plated. Everything was exactly as ordered. The whole time I'm kissing up to them and low-key prioritizing them over my other tables because I want to make up for last time. Eventually they finish, so I drop off the check. Husband pays cash and tells me, "It's all you." I'm over here like, "Great job, me, mission success." I hand off the cash and bill to my manager and come back after the rush to collect my cash. I open up the checkbook, and what do I see? $1. Normally I am able to brush off bad tips no problem, but this time it was personal. I was absolutely furious. For bad tippers who are not regulars or are regulars and leave a bad tip, there is the benefit of the doubt. But this lady and her husband know better. So I was absolutely fuming because they might as well have spit directly in my face. Now my managers know not to give that family to me, because now me and that lady just have straight up beef. This happened a few days ago, so I'm still pretty sore about it. Thanks y'all for listening. 3. Pointless story, just recalling a moment. Around a year ago, I worked as a server at a very well-known pancake house. I worked the morning shift from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., so it was still pretty dead when I would clock in. I usually deal with people who reek of dope or sometimes even alcohol, but I don't refuse service unless they're impossible to deal with, since I don't really care as long as I get my tip. One early morning, as soon as I clock in, I'm assuming, teenage couple walks in and brings along the very strong smell of weed. They immediately ask if we accept Apple Pay, which should have been a red flag in my opinion, and after saying we do, I let them sit themselves. They're super out of it, but they're still able to order their meals. I'm already going back and forth because they say soda's not carbonated enough, or the juice is watery. I tasted them, they were fine. And as I'm walking away to put their order in, I see them hit a pen. I don't say anything because I don't want any trouble. No one's around, and I'm a mega people pleaser. While waiting for their food, the girl gets up to go to the bathroom, and really takes a while. So long that I take their food out while she's still in there. The guy says she'll be back, but asks for a bunch of small items. Flavored syrup, ketchup, hot sauce, and doesn't touch his food even after dropping everything off. Finally, the girl walks out and they're just chatting. I check up on them and see that out of their entire pretty large meal, they've only eaten half one slice of French toast and not even a quarter of the eggs. I go to chill up front so I can keep an eye on people coming in, no one is, and see they're walking up front. I'm at the register and ask if they're ready to cash out and if everything's okay. They avert their eyes and quickly walk out. I'm speechless. I've never had this happen, and I didn't want to chase them if they were running away. My coworker asks if they just ran out on me and goes after them, yelling at them. They were running around in an empty parking lot next door, giggling and dancing around. I've never been so confused. I don't really try to do anything. It's not my problem, and I was afraid they might do something if they're not in their right mind, so I accept my fate to go clean up their table. Tell me why I'm about to squeeze through the booth to grab their very full plates, and I see fucking blood on the seats, on both seats, smeared enough to not touch any specific part. I have to wait for my manager to come to clean it up because fuck that. I'm not touching that. My poor manager comes in and has to null their $40 tab and clean up their disgusting mess. 4. 10 months of this. I couldn't go another 2 months to make it a year. It sucks that this was supposed to be a flexible, part-time job that gradually became more and more demanding over time. Once the co-owner who hired me jumped ship, it went downhill fast. When I could be out of the place by 9 p.m., most nights, I would have to be the closing server every shift, and I would have to let the other server go early because she was my manager's favorite, and kissed his ass every waking moment she was there. So that meant I would have to take the late stragglers and clean up after them, plus sweep and mop the floors and do side work. Then drive a whole fucking hour home at night, all to have to get up in 4 hours to go to my full-time job. Speaking of my full-time job, it's not even close to how toxic this place was. It's a job where I do have frustrations at times, but I don't dread going in every day. Yet, once I had to stay later and work more days, I started having conversations with my boss over my lack of energy and occasional tardiness in the mornings. And because there are nights where I'd have to stay super late and I wouldn't get home until after midnight, I'd be sleep deprived. Management noticed and they understood why I had the second job, but they became more rigid in their leniency and told me I had to make a decision on which job was more important. Of course, I took my full-time job as it provides benefits. Also, why I put in my 2 weeks' notice at the restaurant. Not to mention the customers are cheap as hell and insane. Like on crazy weekend nights, we get the cheapest a-holes come around. Would order hundreds of dollars of seafood and wine and beer and leave a $5 tip. They were also demanding, entitled, and would complain about food to get it comped or a discount. Many would pay cash or gift card, then use card for the rest and tip only on the card total. Many folks who expected you to read their minds and know what they wanted without them having to tell you. People who would order their food to go and then have the audacity to sit at an empty table and ask us for drinks and service when they didn't leave a single tip. You know, cheap. But the biggest cheap asshole here was my most recent manager. He would only do 1 alcohol order a month, and we'd never have the beers the customers wanted. So we lost out on sales and higher tips. He would give discounts to my tables willy-nilly, which affected my tips. He would underorder the items we needed and overorder the things we didn't. Even though he was cheap, he was also a terrible manager that played favorites and expected everyone else to cater to his favorites' needs and whims. He basically forced me to work on Saturdays because his favorite server needed a rest day because she did so many sales on Fridays and needed help. Turns out that his favorite server is an abusive bitch. Just last week, after I told my boss I would not work with her anymore, after getting my food messed up by her, and she tried to snipe my tips by transferring her some of my tables under her name, he told me I had to get over myself and let it go. Did I also mention that she deadass told me that if I wanted to snitch on her again, 2 things would happen. 1, she'd beat me to a pulp, and 2, I get fired because my manager hates me and loves her. After that threat, I did go to the manager, and he told me to stop making up lies about her and learn to work with her. That's when I knew I had no support, and my days were numbered. I finally had enough today, after a two-top of a royal douchebag and his friend ran me ragged and kept teasing me about how I have to earn my tip from him. He kept saying, "You have to get everything perfect to get a tip, young lady." Which I knew what he was doing. I go to my manager and I tell him I don't want to serve the two-top because of their tip teasing. He said, "If getting a tip from them is your biggest concern, then there's no problem. I'm not taking the table." Turns out, they were purposely very indirect about ordering, and I missed a single thing. How they did it was the douchebag would ask his friend, "Friend, did you want to order this combo meal?" And there would be no confirmation that they wanted it. So yeah, I messed up, they didn't leave a tip, and told my manager that I was awful. I ended up getting chewed out for missing the meal he comped for them, even though they played mind games with me. At that point, I knew I was not going to complete my 2 weeks notice period. I officially told my manager I'm no longer coming in for shifts for the next week. 5. We were pretty dead last night, at least for the first few hours of our shift. So in wandering around being bored, I happened to crack open a trainer's notebook just to see what was inside. On top of the training material, I found a stack of 5 order sheets containing a list in different handwriting. The list was pretty funny. A variety of things that we Olive Garden servers hate. Apparently, it began the other night and was added to throughout a shift or 2. We continued it tonight, adding 2 more pages. Some of it was written with humor, particularly the jabs at each other. We all get along great. Here's the list. People that bring their own salad dressing. People who suck their drinks down faster than they get them. Wayne and Juan and Christy. All the above. Don't pull hair. Never getting closed. People who think they can eat salad for free. Pasta bowl peeps. Never-ending pasta bowl equals server hell. Server lists. Bussers. Hosts. 10% tables. Where is the soup and salad bar? Where's your salad bar? Having no tables for 45 minutes, and then getting triple set and getting closed all at the same time. Capped tables. Making a 4-person table into a 5-person table by putting a chair in the only place I can approach the table. Angel hair spaghetti. $1 tips. Really, I'd rather be stiffed. I'll take the fettuccine sauce. I'll take the lemon with the water. Jaeger bombs all night long. The big bowl. As in, we get the big bowl of salad, right? I'll take some more rolls, biscuits, etc. They're breadsticks, folks, sticks, they're even stick-shaped. Rose's request. Shane's $150 lunch shifts and Stephanie's $1,000 weeks. Can we say BS? Thought so. God pamphlets with fake money. People that have everything special. Half unsweet, half tea, lots of ice, no lemon. The fact that it takes JR half an hour to tell a 5-minute story. Butter for the breadsticks, extra napkins. Don't we all just eat out of the bowl? Out of the big bowl of salad? Are you ready to order? Says the server. Yeah, says the guest. As you stand there for 10 minutes. 15 million kinds of dressing on the side. When you're walking away from a table and the guest says, "Well, he's obviously gay." I'll have the all-you-can-eat pasta bowl. People who bitch. Strangers who insist on talking to other strangers at length. What is the soup of the day? Never mind that we've had the same 3 soups every day for like 13 years. Small big trays. The small busser trays they're making us carry now. I'll add in my hatred of the additional rule that only 3 plates, and a tour of Italy plate counts as 2, can be carried on a tray at a time. Luncheon special spaghetti. Sunday. People who can't tip. I'll take a small Coke. Sorry, this is not Burger King, we have one size. Hillbillies that get on my nerves and smell bad. Getting hammered 15 minutes before the relief comes in. Would you like to start off with an appetizer?
Nah, just the salad and breadsticks.
Or,
yeah, we'll have the salad and breadsticks.
People, the salad and bread are part of your meal. Food with special instructions that people pull out of the window and run without paying attention to the mods written right on the damn ticket. When the line guys mess up food and then yell at us and or give attitude like it's our fault when we ask to get it fixed. One person in a large party has to have something different about their salad, dressing, no cheese, no veggies, etc. People who ask for no butter and or garlic on their breadsticks, when no one at the table will look at or talk to you, and getting any information from them, such as their order, is like pulling teeth. Some people come in with a chip on their shoulder and proceed to take it out on you the whole time you wait on them. Extra, extra, extra lemon in their water, and then they make lemonade with the sweetener on the table. Tables trying to be helpful, but not really, by doing a horrible, precarious job of stacking plates. People who ask for sides of dressing to dip their breadsticks in, instead of paying for dipping sauce. People who pile as much of their dirty plates and silverware as possible on you when you're trying to pre-bus the table. It kills me how often people do this to me, especially when I only have one free arm. People who ask for one thing every time you come to the table, instead of asking for a few things at once. People who tip 50% or more in change. People who wait for ridiculous change, a penny, 9 cents, etc. People who bitch because we carry Coke products instead of Pepsi. People who bitch about the breadsticks and want the Tucson or ciabatta bread. People who want just a small box and holler when you bring the smallest box that we have. Apparently, the box isn't small enough. Servers who never run their food when you're expediting, and then after doing half their job for them all night, they only tip $1 or $2. I've run all their food and seen the number of tables they had. Do they take me for a dummy? OG folks, feel free to add anything we've missed. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 205. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Please poke the like button before you go, thank you kindly. Okay, let's see. As there's no other business, let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is... In old cartoons, whenever Donald Duck would get out of a shower, he would put a towel around his waist. But he never wore pants any other time. So, are we to believe that Donald Duck is a serial exhibitionist and has actually been flashing us this whole time? Let me know what you think in a comment below. I think yes. But then again, I also think characters in like fiction that are shapeshifters are naked, technically speaking. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.